want to share a story with you. Recently, I was in this restaurant, and I was having lunch with two youth pastors that work with Youth for Christ here in Vigo County, and we were having a conversation, typical stuff about some politics because it's the season, stuff about COVID, other things about what's going on in their lives and churches. One of the youth pastors made a point. He wanted to bring up a point to me that something he had recently been through himself. He said, Tim, I had a guy in my church come up to me, and he said, do you know why I'm here at this church? Because he was relatively new. He'd been coming for a little bit, but he wasn't a real long-termer. He had a history a little bit there, but still. He says, this guy came up to me, Tim, he says, do you know why I'm coming? And he says, I don't know. How'd you start coming to this church? He says, well, here's the story. You've been coming to the middle school where my son attends, and you're doing the donut club, okay? Now, the donut club for us is where we go into a middle school or a high school, and we hold a club meeting, and we provide free donuts to the kids who come. It's kind of like the worm on the hook to get them to come in, and they'll hang out and talk with us for a while, and then we present the gospel, and we do devotionals. So this guy was helping us at one of the middle schools. But while he was there, he brought flyers for the youth event that he was having at his church. And so, which is ideal because that's what I'd love to have happen. I want these youth pastors to feel free to invite the kids that were in front of each week to come to their church, to go to a youth event, to feel comfortable because the youth pastors are making the first step going into the school. So this father says to the youth pastor, he says, my son came to your youth event after you promoted him. And because he enjoyed it so much, we started attending your church. Now you have to understand the dynamic in the situation. This wasn't the mother leading the family into a church environment, which is fine. It wasn't the son necessarily leading the family into the church environment, which is okay, good too. But here it was as the father bringing the entire family because of the experience that the son had had stepping through the doors of that church to begin with. And that the son's situation was so positive. He felt compelled to go in and check it out, which he did. And he liked it so much as the father that he started bringing the entire family, and they landed at that church. See, this is the goal for Youth for Christ. We want to get into the schools, reach out to the kids, get them perhaps to start coming into the church. That's why I like to use youth pastors and youth workers in the community. And as a result of that situation, then eventually those kids will start coming into the church and maybe feeling more welcome because they were the ones, we, the youth pastors, were the first ones to come into their school. See, we have got to go into the community to reach the people for Christ first. They're not going to cross the door of the church on their own. I mean, think about the times you've thought about going to a new church or someplace different. You're always anxious about it. Well, the world is no different. That's why we know when they reach the kids first and maybe get them into the church, then they'll feel more comfortable. And as a result of them feeling comfortable, maybe the families again will feel comfortable. And then as a result of all that happening, maybe they'll land. See, my goal isn't to hold on to the kids. My goal is to get them anchored in a solid Bible-believing church. And it's through that experience that they'll be nurtured, discipled, and grown into full-blown adults for the kingdom of God. That's where we need you. We need you to help us reach out to the kids on a weekly basis. I will see upwards of 800 kids on a week. I can't reach them all by myself. That's why I use youth pastors, but they can't do all the work either. We need to keep going back into the schools and drawing them into the kingdom by bridging them over, okay? And that's where you're important. Your dollars, your financial help in supporting us doing that keeps us moving forward to get to more kids coming in, more kids hearing the message, some kids taking that stuff home, some kids taking a Bible home for the first time. That's important. Planting seeds. You can help us plant seeds. This is a season of reaching lost kids for Christ, and I want to invite you to participate with us to do that. Would you consider that, please? And consider making a donation or doing something to help us move the kingdom forward in our community. Thanks for your time. My name is Tim Ramsier. I'm the Executive Director for Youth for Christ of the Wabash Valley, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about this need. Thanks so much.